The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking on a new episode of the Sports Stove Football Show. We are talking with draft prospect Luke Smith, and we're covering the NFL Mock Draft 3.0. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove Football Show. Welcome into an all-new edition of the Sports Stove Football Show presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com and use the promo code STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. We're coming to you a little earlier today in the Thursday morning, afternoonish, and excited about the episode today that we have for you. In just a moment, we'll be joined by ETSU center Luke Smith as he is preparing for his career in the days ahead. And then after that, we'll be looking at the Sports Stove NFL Mock Draft 3.0. It actually dropped yesterday, but the website's down, so we're going to go through it all for you today as well. Before we get to the mock draft, though, we're going to bring on our guest. Last week, we talked to safety Mike Smith from Eastern Kentucky University. This week, we've got with you on the other side of the ball, a man in the trenches, the center for ETSU. He's the one and only Luke Smith. Hey, Luke, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, I am doing awesome. Great to have you on the program. And I always get excited this time of year. I'm a draft geek, and so I love everything about the draft, all the prep and everything that goes into it. And you, of course, you started your football career, college career, that is, at Appalachian State before transferring for your final 2 years at ETSU. And I like to kind of hear that process as far as coming out of high school, making that decision. What were you looking for, and what were the emotions around that process? Because I didn't have that opportunity, and I always thought it'd be a cool process to go through.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So before we get into that, you said you had Mike Smith on here last week. Yeah. So he was my teammate for 2 years. He's a good dude. Yeah. That's awesome.
Dude's a baller, man.
Yeah. He really flourished at EKU.
Yeah.
But so coming out of high school, I knew I always wanted to play college football, and I had a pretty good college career. And we were big Tennessee fans, and I think it was my sophomore year of high school. Tennessee played Appalachian State.
Yeah.
And we had season tickets, and my dad was like, "You want to go?" And at that time, I hadn't really heard too much of them, and I was like, "No." I was like, "It probably won't even be a close game. Probably won't even be a good game." And that game went into overtime, and App State should have beat Tennessee in Neyland. I think they went into overtime, and I think it was Josh Dobbs fumbled into the end zone, and Jalen Hurd fell on it. That's how they beat App State.
Uh-huh.
And I was watching these guys. I was looking at them. I was like, man, I was a defensive lineman at the time. So this is before O-line. So their nose guard was 6 foot tall, and their 4-eye was 5'11", and their other one was 5'10". So I was like, these guys play hard. They're undersized. They're scrappy. I was like, that I felt like that was me. So ended up going to a football camp there. And the D-line coach at the time, his name was Mark Ivey. He called me 2 days later, asked me, grades, GPA and stuff. And I told him. He was like, well, he was like, I just want to tell you, you got a full ride scholarship offer. So I was like, awesome. That's awesome. So I ended up being the first commit in the class. I'm 6 foot tall, so I knew I wasn't going to be like a big time, huge recruit, so anytime, like if I had a, offer to go to someplace like App State with the culture and history, so I went ahead and took that, and had a blast.
Yeah, and you get there, you talk about being undersized, and it's funny because you don't look undersized, but I understand.
Yeah.
And I know you've grown a little bit since high school, of course, as well. But you get there to App State. It's a gorgeous, I've never been there in person, but the pictures are absolutely incredible. Of everything around App State, and just the scenery around the university and things like that as well. When you went in, when did you make that transition? I know in high school you played O-line, of course, as well. When you went to App State, did you play as D lineman your freshman season?
Yeah, so my first year, I actually graduated high school early, and came in that spring semester. So did spring ball and everything. Did a whole year at D line, and I was playing nose. I hadn't really played much nose. I was always like a 4-eye in an Okie scheme. But their O line coach at the time, his name was Sean Clark, and he wanted to move me to center, but the
Mm.
head coach wouldn't let him. So then a year later, uh, Coach Clark gets hired as the head coach, and literally day one of him being head coach, he walks into the meeting room. He doesn't say a word. He is a D line meeting room. He looks at me, points at me, he goes like this. He says, and sends me down the hall to the O line room. So been an O lineman ever since.
Ever since. It's funny. In my time covering EKU, Josiah Ezrim came in as a D lineman. They switched him over to tackle, offensive tackle, and now he's in New Orleans for the Saints. And sometimes it's about the coach seeing where the best potential is for you, putting you in the best place to succeed. You played several games at App State. There, your sophomore and junior year, you transfer into ETSU for your senior and grad year. When you make that transition from App State to ETSU, what were you looking for when you got into the portal? When you were looking at where you're going to go next, and why ETSU?
Yeah, so I was just looking for another opportunity. And I chose ETSU. Well, I came down on a visit, and I'm pretty familiar with Johnson City. One of my buddies from high school lived here, so I'd come down every now and then. So very familiar with the area. I wanted to stay in the Appalachian Mountains. I love it up here. Like the weather's great. I mean, it's just awesome up here. There's not too many people. And then App State and ETSU were both. I'm not sure 100% on this abbreviation, but I think it's AACB, accredited business schools.
Okay.
So if you have over a 3.0, you can get into the MBA program without having to take the GMAT. So I mean, it was kind of just like a no brainer. I had quite a few other offers out of the portal. I had some FBS looks too, New Mexico, UNLV, but yeah, I didn't want to go halfway across or all the way across the country.
Yeah.
So, so
Yeah.
that's how I ended up at ETSU.
Yeah, and you get there, you play your first season there at ETSU. I think you started all games or all but one game, something like that. Your first season there, you go into grad school, all that kind of stuff. But you have a coach transition there, where obviously when you committed ETSU, I'm assuming you didn't necessarily foresee that coming. Maybe you knew there was a potential of it, but I'm always intrigued by guys who commit and then the coach changes, and you had that experience at App State too. But now you're sitting there going, okay, I got one season left. What held you at ETSU, and where did your growth come in between? Because I know already ETSU, talking to them, they're saying, man, this guy's a leader. They love what you brought to the team. And sometimes, though, especially in today's day and time, a coach leaves, a lot of players leave with them, or go somewhere else also. So, what was that transition like?
Yeah, well, let me do you one better. So when I was coming out of high school, um, I committed to Satterfield, and Satterfield had never been a head coach anywhere. Mark Ivy had never been, or elsewhere. Mark Ivy, the D line coach, he had never. This was his alma mater. He had never coached anywhere else. And then the defensive coordinator, Dale Jones, that was recruiting me, he had been there for like 24 years.
Mm.
So I was like, these guys, they told me they were like, you could go ahead and commit early, but we don't want you talking to anybody else and all that. So I was like, all right, that's perfect. I was like, these guys aren't going nowhere, and they all left the day before signing day. So I'm kind of used to it. I've had 5 or 6 or 7 different position coaches. College football these days is a revolving door.
Yeah.
But going back to the ETSU from my 5th year to my 6th year, they got fired. So it's not like I could follow them.
Yeah.
They got fired. And then, depending on what I ended up really liking Trey Lamb. He's a good coach, and I talked to him. I had a meeting with him, and I was like, I know this is my last year of college football. Like, I don't really care about anything. I just want to win games. And I was like, do you foresee that happening? And he was honest with me. He was like, yes. He said, I think we can win, because my 5th year, I mean, we won like 3 games.
Hmm.
And I'm halfway through my MBA here at that point, and I was like, I didn't really want to leave, but I wanted to win games. And I talked to him, and I mean, he was able to bring like 40 players in, so through the portal. So it was like a shot in the arm. Like, we instantly got pretty decent. We took North Dakota State, should have beat them. Game was Still hate thinking about that game, but and we ended up having a good season.
Yeah. Um, Starting as a D lineman, I know you played both in high school, but starting as a D lineman and then transition to the O line, what was there experience on the defensive side of the ball that helped you be a better offensive lineman because of what you knew from being a defensive lineman?
Um, I guess so. I played left guard my junior and senior year of high school, so I was always kind of familiar with O line. So it wasn't like I was a true transition from D line to O line. I had still played some O line, um, but not necessarily. Uh, yeah,
When you at center, I'm always intrigued by this too, because nowadays most teams are going all shotgun, especially in college. And in the pros, it seems like it too, for the most part. There's still some under center stuff. How different is snapping under center versus snapping shotgun?
um, under the center is a lot easier. I mean, but they're both, once you get in that rhythm, uh, they're both not too bad. We were mostly shotgun,
Yeah.
with just a little bit under center, but
And then I'm always intrigued too, the mindset of an offensive lineman, specifically a center, because you got job number one is a good snap. Like,
yeah,
if that doesn't happen, then nothing else really matters. But then you have job number two right after the snap. You got to find someone to block. Um, what is the mindset there? Like when you're
yeah.
practicing, when you're preparing for that, even watching video and stuff, like what's going through your head in that pre-snap to post-snap action?
Yeah, so there's job number 0 too, and that's before pre-snap,
Mm,
IDing the defense and making the right calls and everything. You definitely got to be dialed in. You gotta watch a lot of film. You gotta know what's going on, because I mean, a play could be blocked. The same play could be blocked 4 or 5 different ways depending on how the defense is aligned. So, um, it's a lot more responsibility. Like my in 21, I played like 12, 13 games at App State at left guard, and that's just fun. My hands in the dirt. I'm listening to our center and just coming off the ball and hitting people. But centers, uh, it's a little bit different story. You gotta be smart.
yeah. Is there a player, a teammate that you played with that was really helpful to you in that transition to center, or just kind of even just collegiately taking that step up from high school and playing consistently? Was there a teammate? Because I know the offensive line. I've talked with a lot of offensive linemen over the years, and it seems like at tackle that guard's so important. At guard, the tackle and center is so important. At center, the guards are so important, plus the guys that are maybe playing ahead of you as you're young. Was there a teammate that really kind of helped you in that process?
Yeah, yeah. When I came in, Noah Hannon was the starting center at App State, and I mean, he was a great ball player. He was undersized too. I mean, I think he was even smaller than me. I think he was like 265 pounds, maybe 270,
Hmm.
but played at a very high level. So yeah, it was good to come in under him and learn from him, and learn some from Ryan Newsel too, who's still in the NFL, the Falcons. Great player, but yeah.
When You came into ETSU, you immediately made an impact there. Like I said, the university is very high on you and your impact to the program, culture-wise, locker room-wise, and on the field, of course, as well. You got all SoCon second team right there your first season at ETSU. And then this last season, you got preseason honors, first team, Phil Steele. And I'm a big fan of Phil Steele's stuff. But first team all SoCon with him as well as with the conference. You had first team at the end of the season, also third team All-American by Phil Steele, second team All-American by Stats Perform FCS and the AP. And then the SoCon's Jacobs Blocking Award winner. And it's this is something I didn't know about the award until I was researching for the interview, is that like several conferences hand out this award. And I was looking through, was it Cole Strange won in 2021 in the SoCon, and of course he's with the Patriots now. And I find these position awards, sometimes they don't mean as much to us on the outside. Especially when you're talking about in the trenches, it seems like D-line, unless it's a sack award, O-line, anything O-line, most people, unless they're a football, and I say nerd, where they're like, oh, O-line, yeah. O-line doesn't get a whole lot of people excited. but when you look at these kinds of awards and you realize why they're named what they're named, and then who has won them in the past, and all those kinds of things, at least for me, it helps me understand the importance of it. But tell me a little bit about just the honor of winning that Jacobs Award.
Oh, I mean, it was really cool. And especially it means a little bit more than all the others, like the All-Americans and stuff, because the Jacobs Blocking Award was voted on by the defensive coaches in the SoCon. So, and that just makes it mean a little bit more. And it is a great honor. It's just really cool. I was on the golf course playing golf, and my O-line coach called me and told me about it, and I was just made my day, and it's been really cool.
What's your handicap?
Oh, I'm not very good.
Okay,
not right now. I
was watching the
when
Masters this morning, so I was sitting there watching the Masters, enjoying that.
Yeah,
when
I get pretty dialed, I could shoot in the low 80s, but
okay,
I mean, no, I haven't broke 80 yet.
Yeah,
but I'm not there right now. I'm still in winter off season golf form right now.
Yeah. Well, we all know the kickers are the best golfers because they don't do anything in practice; they just go golf. So we know it takes time for everyone else to get back into the form of things. For sure. Do you have a player that you've kind of I don't know, modeled your game after or watched it to try to improve and kind of say, hey, that's the kind of player I could be?
Yeah, I like watching Jason Kelsey and then some of Brian Allen too. Brian Allen was he played for the Rams. He was like 6'1", 300, kind of identical to my size. They ran a lot of outside zone, and that's kind of what I like to think I'm majoring is outside zone. It's kind of all I've done for 6 years, and I think they're both really good players to watch because they get guys moving, they get running, sprinting sideways fast.
Do you have the mindset of, all I need is an opportunity, right? Like everyone needs the opportunity to show themselves. There's video, obviously you've got seasons out there that people can watch video, but it seems like there's so many guys that are, man, if I can just get that opportunity to be seen, that's where I got to be.
Absolutely. All I'm looking for is an opportunity, whether it's a UDFA or mini camp or anything. I believe in my skill set, and I believe in my preparation, and I think I'm good enough player to make a 53-man roster. So yeah, just looking for opportunity.
And I always like to ask this question too, and I know the goal is the NFL, but right now there's so many opportunities out there to maybe get on the field sooner. Whether it's CFL, UFL's out there now, and there's a few other leagues, arena leagues, all that kind of stuff. When you look at it, is it NFL or bust, or you say, well, if I don't make it there, I'm gonna work on these opportunities also?
Yeah, I mean, I still got some ball left in me, So if NFL doesn't work out, I'll probably play a year or two in the CFL or UFL if that opportunity arose.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. So tell me about like this process for you. You had your pro day. After the season's done, it's like I feel like, especially for you older guys, the graduates, where you're sitting there going, okay, now basically my whole life is revolving around these next couple months and what happens in these next couple months. So after the season's done, did you get any time off before you really dialed into the work process?
What was that? Sorry, you cut out for a quick second.
Did you get any time off after the season before you really dialed in? Because you had the holidays and stuff like that. So
Uh, I'm not gonna lie to you. I jumped right straight in the gym. I wasn't planning on doing anything. I was gonna try to lose weight. I've been 300 pounds my whole life, and this was before all the accolades and stuff. So I didn't foresee all this happening. So I jumped in the gym. I'd already lost like 12 pounds and uh, was trying to get lean. But then it happened, and then I was able to get on a call with Lee Smith at Triple F in Knoxville. Showed up in January, I think January 3rd. So, uh, and then was there for 3 months, had a great time. Lee's awesome. And then Rich Burnett, the guy that runs the strength and conditioning side, he's awesome too. They got me really prepared for pro day. So yeah, so I was there for three months going into pro day.
yeah.
So that was a good time, and then being around all the guys and stuff, and yeah, it was a good time.
Pro day, did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish in pro day?
I did. I did. I didn't have I had a good day, but not a great day. It was kind of, they kind of ran us through everything pretty quick. Didn't really have much time to stretch or loosen up or anything, but man, I tell you, I was really nervous. You spend your whole life doing something, and then, it's this is kind of your one opportunity to show yourself, and all 32 NFL teams were there. There was like 5 or 6 CFL teams. So man, I was probably one of the more nervous I've ever been in my entire life, but luckily bench press was the first thing, and I'm a pretty good bencher. So after bench press, like it gave me the confidence. So
Yeah.
to
That's
push
awesome.
through everything else. Yeah.
All right. So what do you bring to a team? You get the opportunity at the next level. What are you bringing right off the bat as a young rookie? What are you bringing?
I think I'm a high football IQ player. I think I could run outside zone at a high level. So any teams that major in outside zone. I think I'm an anchor in the pass game. In 4 years of playing significant snaps, I've given up 2 sacks. So solid pass blocker. I love outside zone, and I'm hard nosed and have a high football IQ.
Yeah, and that outside zone's pretty popular right now in
It
the
is.
NFL, which is
It is.
nice for you because there's a lot of guys running it, which is cool. Which is cool. Well, Luke, is there anything we didn't cover you wanted to cover?
Um, I don't think so. I think it's been a pretty good conversation.
Okay, very cool, man. Well, I'm excited for you. I always think that it's so neat that you guys get these opportunities, not only in college, but now a chance to continue to push for that dream. And, we're excited to see what happens in your career and what opportunities you get in the coming days. 2 weeks away from the day is the first day of the NFL draft. I'm not being mean when I say this. I don't think we're going to hear your name on day one, Luke, but
Probably not. Yeah, kind of doubt it.
but we're excited for you, man. And you had a great career. Like I said, we actually got connected before I realized that we're kind of connected through the Jacksons. And Ryan was my co-host on another program I hosted for a while. I was your teammate in high school, which was really cool. And then the Mike Smith connection too, which is pretty cool also. But man, I'm excited for you. I'm definitely going to be intently watching what happens for you in the days ahead. Congrats on a great college career and good luck in the days ahead, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. He's Luke Smith, center, ETSU, soon to be hopefully the NFL as well. Thank you, Luke. All right, man, that's fun. We've had a lot of good times. We're hoping still. We've been working hard to get a few more of these draft prospect interviews in before draft day. So follow us on social media at Sports Stove to figure out to keep up with the other interviews that we've got going on as well. All right, before we wrap up the episode today, it is time to check out the Sports Stove NFL Mock Draft 3.0. let me bring this up onto the screen here. So in this process of mock drafts, man, we've been working hard to get things right, to figure out where it all's supposed to go, where it all's going to happen. And man, we've had a hard time figuring out the Shedeur Sanders situation. Where is he going to go? Everyone supposedly is drafting him, and no one supposedly is drafting him all at the same time. So let's get right into it. Pick number 1 in mock draft 3.0. It's an easy one. Cam Ward and the Titans are a match. It is all but set in stone. It's going to happen. So Cam Ward goes number 1 to the Titans. We don't need to discuss it anymore. It's being discussed ad nauseum. Number 2, we're going to go Travis Hunter to the Browns. And really what it comes down to in the top 3 picks is it seems like at this moment, Cam Ward and then Hunter and Abdul Carter in some order going 2-3. Right now, the smoke is all leaning towards the Browns taking Travis Hunter. There's no reason for them to blow smoke because, well, I mean, they got the number 2 pick, and they know Cam Ward's not going to be there. So it seems like Travis Hunter is going to be the pick at number 2, which brings us to number 3, and I'm going Abdul Carter to the Giants. The closer we get, it just seems like Shedeur is going to have a fall, whether it's just a few more picks down, whether it is down to the 20 range, who knows? But it seems like right now the Giants, and even last week I said, no, Giants are going to stick with Shedeur Sanders. It doesn't appear that way now. So I'm going to go Abdul Carter at 3 to the Giants. At 4, the Patriots, Will Campbell. They've got to protect their quarterback, Drake May. And the best option here, and really I think best available player here, is Will Campbell taking over left tackle in New England. If Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter are here at 4, I think the Patriots take one of them. But Will Campbell is the pick at 4 in this situation. At number 5, I've got a trade. The Panthers trading up to 5 with Jacksonville to grab Ashton Jeanty. Panthers need playmakers, and they can stick it where they're at and get a playmaker more than likely, whether it be a Tyler Warren at tight end. But I think Ashton Jeanty, everyone is saying Ashton Jeanty is going to go to the Raiders. So therefore, if you want him, you probably got to come up to 5 to get him. Jacksonville could probably take Ashton Jeanty as well, although they have much greater needs in other positions. But Jeanty's a stud. He's a star. He's a playmaker. Panthers come up and get him at 5. At 6, the Raiders go Jalen Walker. Listen, Jalen Walker and Abdul Carter are 2 linebackers in this draft that are going to be able to be put in different spots on the defense. And I think defenses are going to love that about them. They can play them more inside in first and second down, kick them outside on third down. Even though their strengths are probably pass rusher, they have great ability to do other things too. So I've got the Raiders going Jalen Walker at 6. At 7, we got the Jets going right tackle Armand Membu. Outside of Will Campbell, best offensive lineman in the draft, and the Jets have a need at right tackle as well. At 8, Jaguars with the move down from 5 with Carolina. They go Mason Graham, get the guy that everyone assumes they're going to get at 5, and still get him at 8. Graham could go anywhere from 5, 6, 7, or 8, honestly. But I've got the Jaguars still snagging Mason Graham at 8. At 9, we got Shedeur Sanders going off the board to the Saints. I mean, this is a value pick, really, and they need a quarterback for long term. In the NFC South, you got not only does New Orleans play in a dome, but Atlanta plays in a dome. You get decent weather in Tampa as well, decent weather in Carolina as well. So a good fit for Shedeur Sanders. And of course, with the new head coach there in New Orleans, he can kind of mold Shedeur Sanders to what he wants as well. So I got Sanders going 9. At 10, we got the Bears going playmaker Tyler Warren, tight end. The Bears need offensive line help still, especially at the tackle position. There's not a value pick here at offensive line for the Bears. You look at receiver, they could use a receiver. I don't think you want to spend a top 10 pick on receiver this year in this draft. There are going to be plenty of receivers available in the second round for Chicago if that's the route they want to go. They could go cornerback here. Will Johnson would be a possibility. He's got a pro day coming up on Monday, and if he runs something really good, he's going to bolster his stock as well. Tyler Warren's a great athlete. The Bears need playmakers as well. They're going to continue to try to help Caleb Williams, and I think that Ben Johnson would be happy to have Tyler Warren. And they've got a good tight end, obviously, in Cole Kmet. Why not have 2? At 11, I got the 49ers going Tyler Booker. This is a pick I can't get away from. This has been my pick in these mock drafts for the 49ers. last mock as well. Tyler Booker's the best guard in the draft. 49ers have several needs in this draft. I think best player available at this point, and I think Tyler Booker is that, in my opinion. At 12, we got the Cowboys going receiver. Everyone's saying T-Mac. I don't. I say Matthew Golden. I think Jerry Jones, first of all, with everyone saying T-Mac, Jerry Jones isn't going to let everybody be right. Secondly, I think Matthew Golden is just a sexier pick here than T-Mac is, and so I got the Cowboys going Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver, at 12. At 13, I got the Dolphins going running back, Omarion Hampton. Dolphins got several needs as well, but not major holes to fill. And Omarion Hampton coming in would be a massive upgrade at running back for the Dolphins. He's a great pass catcher as well, just giving Tua another weapon there at 13. By the way, if Shedeur Sanders happens to slide here, watch out for the Dolphins and Shedeur Sanders as well. At 14, we got the Colts getting lucky and getting tight end Colston Loveland. They desperately need tight end help. And these top two tight ends, either one, if they're available, I think the Colts go for it. They could even move up in the draft to try to get one of these guys. Colston Loveland, a great athletic tight end, would be a huge help to the Indianapolis offense. At 15, I got the Falcons also getting lucky with Will Johnson, I think the best cornerback in the draft. Injury issues last year have pushed him down a little bit. Like I said, he's got this pro day coming up Monday. If he runs in the 4.4s, I think you see his stock rise again. He was a top 5 player starting into this process, and he's being pushed down a bit. And if the Falcons can get him at 15, or anyone can get him after really 11 or later, I think you're getting a steal of a pick in Will Johnson. Cardinals at 16, they need wide receiver help. I've been mocking Emeka Egbuka here to the Cardinals. I just think it's a little too rich at this point at 16, especially with Teteroa McMillan on the board. Cardinals can add another star weapon on the outside with Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. At 17, I got the Bengals getting Mykel Williams. I like this value for him as well. Again, a guy who some has had as high as 5, and some are having as low as 30. So where will he go? He's got some injury concerns as well. But Mykel Williams, a great edge rusher. The Bengals trying to figure this thing out right now with their star on the edge. And so Mykel Williams can come in and either replace or be an addition. And the defense needs help in Cincinnati. At 18, I got Gray Zabel going 18 to the Seahawks. Another guard here in this draft. I'm actually not as high on Gray Zabel as a lot of people are, but it seems like a good fit, just style-wise, technique-wise. And I think the Seahawks definitely need inside linebacker help, or inside offensive line help. And so Gray Zabel steps in and starts at guard here this season as a rookie. At 19, we got another trade. The Cleveland Browns trade up to get ahead of Pittsburgh at 21 and grab their quarterback in Jackson Dart. So skipping on quarterback at number 2 with their eyes on Jackson Dart later. And again, all the tea leaves are pointing to Pittsburgh being a quarterback team this year. I don't think they are. I think that's all smoke for Pittsburgh trying to get people to move around and let players drop to them. Jackson Dart to Cleveland at 19 as Browns trade up with Tampa to get into this pick. At 20, I got the Broncos taking Emeka Egbuka. Listen, I really think Egbuka is the best receiver in this draft. If you drafted him ahead of the other two, you'd be absolutely criticized. But I'm telling you, you just look at this guy's college career and the production he gave, and then you look at the recent history, especially of the Ohio State receivers. I think you're stupid to pass on this kid. He comes into Denver, adds help to the Broncos' offensive needs there at 20. At 21, the Steelers get Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of A&M, a physical freak. He did not have the great stats in college, but he has all the tools, and the Steelers can plug him on the other side of J.J. Watt, which also gives them some insurance with T.J. Watt, and with his injury history as well. Shamar Stewart fits in great in Pittsburgh. At 22, we've got the Rams making a move. They're going to trade up with the Chargers to snag cornerback Jahdae Barron. And Barron, some think he's the best cornerback. I still think it's Will Johnson. But the Rams need some help. They move up just a few spots to get Barron, and they get ahead of some teams that could want cornerbacks in Green Bay and Minnesota. Green Bay at 23, I've got them going Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle out of Texas. The Packers' offensive line was decent last year. They moved on from center. They're moving their guard and stud, Elgin Jenkins, over to center. They're going to need some guard help as well. But Rashawn Walker, to me, at left tackle for the Packers is not the answer. And Kelvin Banks, this is a value pick, best player available kind of situation for Green Bay, as well as strengthening an area of their team. There's all kinds of positions they could go here. They could go edge. They could go D-line. I've looked at Derek Harmon at this spot as well. James Pierce, the edge rusher out of Tennessee. But ultimately here, I like Kelvin Banks if he's still on the board at 23 to Green Bay. At 24, I got the Vikings taking one of my favorite players here in the first round, Nick Emenwari, the safety out of South Carolina. This guy is a beast, and the Vikings desperately need some safety help. They need several things, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But with J.J. McCarthy being their quarterback, they're not going to score very many points this year. And I'll continue to go on record to say J.J. McCarthy is not the answer in Minnesota. But nonetheless, they need defensive help. And I love Nick Emenwari, and I think he slots in nicely at number 24. At 25, got the Texans taking James Pierce Jr., another one of my favorite players here in the first round. Edge rusher. He's got some off-the-field questions, mainly with the people he runs with, but the talent is there. At 25, it's not too big of a risk to take, and James Pierce Jr. could be a stud in that Texans defense for DeMeco Ryans and add to some of the great things they've already been doing over there on the defensive side of the ball. At 26, the Chargers, they've traded down as the Rams went up, and the Chargers get Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall, another guy with some off-the-field questions, but again, the talent is there, and they, of course, have lost Abosa this offseason as well, and so he jumps in and can learn from Khalil Mack and jump right into that team and be an impact player on the Chargers defense. At 27, we got the Ravens taking offensive lineman Ariante Ursary, and this guy, there's some people have him lower than I do, but he's a fit, and he's a fit here at the Ravens and the needs that they have at offensive tackle. Ursary is going to be a guy, he'll be a day one starter, and he'll be a stud. He'll be better than some other tackles taken. Actually, as a Packer fan, I'd rather the Packers take Ursary at 23 than Kelvin Banks. I don't think they will, but I love Ursary, and I've got him going to the Ravens at 27. At 28, Detroit Lions, I got him going Walter Nolan. Again, that kind of beast of a player. There's some questions about his motor, but overall, the thoughts are this talent is incredible. The Lions need some help on the D-line. Once you get to this point in the draft, there's a possibility of trade-ups. There's a possibility of all kinds of things happening, but I'm going Walter Nolan here to the Lions at 28. At 29, I have the Commanders taking Jihad Campbell. Everyone has Campbell going higher to Tampa at 19. In this mock draft, Tampa trades out of the first round with Cleveland. Jihad Campbell has some injury issues with the shoulder, but again, an incredible talented player, fills a need for the Commanders. If it wasn't for that shoulder, he would be much higher on this list, and the Commanders get a steal at 29. At 30, we got another trade. The Giants coming up with the Buffalo Bills, moving up just a few picks out of the second round to get quarterback Jalen Milroe. I will say this. I do not believe in the Jalen Milroe experience, but again, all the signs are pointing to Milroe being an early second round, possibly late first round pick. When you look at Brian Daboll and the quarterbacks he's had the most success with, Josh Allen, Jalen Milroe is the closest thing to that in this draft. And they've got the veterans in place to survive the year, maybe, bringing Milroe in to prepare him to be the quarterback of the future in New York. At 31, I got the Chiefs taking Derek Harmon. This is a little bit of a steal, too. Probably should go ahead of Walter Nolan and very well may go ahead of Walter Nolan. But I've got the Chiefs filling a need there at 31. And at 32, rounding out the first round, I've got the Eagles taking Donovan Ezaraku from Boston College. Another edge rusher. And again, at 32, there could be trade-ups. There could be guys looking for receivers already. Maybe even, I love Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU in this spot at 32 for the Eagles, or another team trading into it. But Ezaraku is a really, really solid pass rushing edge. And could be a help to the Eagles, who need some offensive help with the way that their offseason has gone. Defensive help, with the way their offseason has gone. So there you go. The NFL Mock Draft 3.0 from the Sports Stove. We will get it up on the Belly Up Sports website as soon as we got that back up and running. I want to shout out and thank Luke Smith for coming on the program today, and looking forward to seeing how his career continues to turn out for him at the next level. I want to appreciate and thank all those who have tuned in to the early edition of the Sports Stove Football Show. Next week, we got some things lined up as we're getting closer to the draft. Next Thursday night, we're going to do a live mock draft. I'm going to bring in some other content creators from the Belly Up Sports Network, and we're going to run through all 32 picks and go with that. And then draft week, man, we're going to have all kinds of content for you. We're going to have some special Sports Stove episodes, as well as the Belly Up Sports Draft Night special for round 1 that Thursday evening, live coverage on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. And so make sure you check that out. Don't forget about our sponsor, Righteous Felon Jerky. We didn't talk about a lot of them today, but they are phenomenal. And so check them out, righteousfelon.com. Promo code is STOVE15, STOVE15. You get 15% off your purchase. All right. Thanks for tuning into this edition of the Sports Stove Football Show. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove. You can subscribe to the podcast, the audio version, anywhere you get your podcast, the Sports Stove Football Show. And we always put all of our episodes up on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to that as well. Thanks for tuning in on the special edition of the Sports Stove Football Show. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.